It's curious to start Valentine's Day in Japan. To start off, like, they're not really Catholic, so it would make no sense to celebrate a martyr of Catholic Church, like Valentine or Saint Valentine. So it was really about importing a foreign concept to the country, where they could make some money out of it. So I believe in the 1930s, a confectionery store, they realized that Valentine's Day could be very profitable. And they started making lots of propaganda on that, especially for foreigners living in Japan. So they could celebrate Valentine's Day like they did outside. And of course, the Japanese people enjoyed it. They think it was fun or, cute to see the heart-shaped chocolates and all that. And especially because in the 30s, it was not really common for people to, especially women, to demonstrate their feelings openly, so to say. So they said that it was a way for them to confess, which is a theme very recurrent here in Japan, to confess your feelings. We don't really have this in the West, I would say. But they have this kokuhaku thing, which is like confessing your feelings to someone, which was something really bold in the 30s for a woman to do that, especially by using those chocolates, which were related to Valentine's Day in foreign lands. So after that, in the 80s...
Can I mention something? It's interesting that you said it was in the 30s, right, when it first was created. If you think about the history of department stores in Japan as well, the first department store was created in 1903, if I'm not mistaken. And it was only in the late 20s, beginning of 30s, that women actually had money and started being able to go to those department stores. Yeah. It became this capitalist center, or this place where women could show their independence and also their power as consumers. They didn't have before. So it's pretty connected to each other, because like Valentine's Day was specifically for women to buy things. And okay, continue, go on. Sorry.
No, it's really interesting to see those connections, like really, it's very important for someone to have financial means to buy those chocolates. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a thing. So, financial freedom for women is certainly one of the points that made it possible here in Japan in the 30s.
Yeah.
But of course, it wouldn't be fair just for women to give the gifts, because here in Japan, Valentine's Day is only for women to present men in their lives with gifts, especially chocolates. In the 80s, they started doing the opposite, like guys having to give back to women. So they want to talk about the meaning of White Day. It's what they call here. 1 month after Valentine's Day, they have the White Day, which men have to retribute what they got from women 1 month prior.
So, as my sister was saying, Valentine's Day was only for women to buy things for men that they considered important in their lives. But women were like, this is so unfair. We have to buy and they don't give us anything back. So when is the time to show appreciation? So as you can see, it all starts from confectionery stores. So the small confectionery shop called Ishimura Manseido, they came up with a very brilliant idea, I think, in the 70s. And they're like, okay, maybe we should do something for men as well, right? And the ladies who worked at the confectionery store, they're like complaining that they didn't get anything back. They always had to give the chocolates. And they're like, anything is fine, even if it's a marshmallow. And then he's like, oh, a marshmallow. So that store, they created what was called Marshmallow Day. But later on in the 80s, it became White Day because it's a more general concept. So basically, this holiday, White Day, was created to sell products as well, and also as a demand of women to also receive something back from men. And this became really popular in the 80s, and it expanded all over Japan, even to Taiwan and South Korea. So here in South Korea as well, we have Valentine's Day and we have White Day. And it's quite different from Western society because people don't really give super fancy extra gifts. Maybe some of them do, but originally it was just more like chocolates on Valentine's Day and White Day, something like that.
Yeah. And something that I saw that, well, it makes more sense, the marshmallow thing, but some people say that White's Day is because it means a pure love, because white is related to purity, which I think marshmallow makes way more sense than purity, but
Yeah. But
so
it's so funny.
yeah, but like White's Day here in Japan, men are expected to give back the gifts from women 2 to 3 times more than the value that they received. And usually
Wow.
Valentine's Day, they only have to give chocolates. But men, when they give back on the White's Day, it's not only chocolates, they can give anything. So it can get really expensive.
I see.
Another
But it's
thing that
funny. Like in Japan, at least I noticed that women like to make things by themselves, like handcraft stuff. So I noticed people do like chocolates from scratch and all those cutie things, but it seems pretty hard, a lot of work involved.
yeah, but that's like here in Japan, there are many types of chocolates for Valentine's Day. One of them is the homemade ones, but each type of chocolate has a different meaning, which is really complicated. I think in Japan they have lots of, for example, if you give one rose, it means one thing. If you give 2 roses, it means another thing. Same with
Wow.
chocolates. And the
If you
thing
give
is that
1,000 roses, it means true love. Just kidding.
so here, which I think is something bad that happens, is that women, they feel pressure to give chocolates to everyone, every man in their lives that they feel should be important to them. It's not only to their boyfriends or, partners. It's also to their boss, their colleagues at work, their colleagues at school, university, their teacher, their friends. So it's quite expensive, I would say, if you give chocolates to everyone. And they have different names for this. For example, giri choco. Choco is like chocolate. So this one is the obligation chocolate, which we would give for males and like friends and your family members and work colleagues. And then, as you said, the homemade choco, it's like homemade chocolate, is usually for their boyfriends or husbands or lovers or, partners. Jibun choco is like you buying the chocolate for yourself because we deserve it. Tomo choco is for their friends. Tomodachi chocolate.
Tomodachi.
Gyaku choco is something quite new, I'd say, because this one is usually a man who gives a chocolate for the women on Valentine's Day, but it's also an excuse so they don't have to buy the gift on White's Day. That's why it's becoming more popular nowadays, because men don't want to have to give back all the gifts that they received on Valentine's Day, so they prefer just to buy a chocolate as well. I think easier and less expensive.
But the chocolates can get pretty expensive because there are some brands that are like really fancy.
Yeah, but I think it's like even I've heard at some workplaces they're forbidding this type of thing because it's a lot of burden to everyone to keep giving gifts, And I even heard stories like from my friends when they like made the chocolate for their professor, but they didn't make anything for their boyfriends because they didn't have time. So they kind of have to prioritize, like my professor can do something that will interfere with my, results or studies, and my boyfriend won't. So, you gotta choose.
Priorities, yeah. People. My gosh. That's interesting. Yeah. In Korea, there's a lot of holidays as well. Not only, Valentine's Day, I think, is pretty important, of course, because it's like internationally known. Like we said, there's White Day, but there's also some weird days like Rose Day, Pepero Day. Pepero is a chocolate stick that when you put together, it looks like 11/11. So day 11/11, like 11th of November, they create a Pepero Day and you give that chocolate for people you love to. And basically every month there's a celebration. Apart from 100 days when you're dating, that is like super duper important. You shouldn't forget that. So that's why. Yeah. So even when like couples start dating, they start They even download apps so they can start counting the days, because if they forget, they're like, that's, it's their death. And I don't know, I just think it's funny. And there's also like Black Day that is for singles. So if you didn't get anything during like all those White Day, Valentine's Day, whatever, you have Black Day. Then you go eat jajangmyeon. It is like a black
Noodle.
bean noodle, and you eat alone because you're single. And yeah.
So sad.
Crazy. So sad.
I prefer the chocolates, not the black bean pasta.
Right? Buy chocolates for yourself. Jibun choco. I like that.
Yeah, me too.
So
I think there's a lot of differences, right, in different countries. I mean, even in Brazil, we don't celebrate Valentine's Day like the US
same
or
day.
like we celebrate in June, if I'm not mistaken.
June 12, I think.
Yeah.